Hello and welcome to Schools Rugby Review. Dialogue Schools Rugby Week 5 have been concluded, and once again I'm joined with Dushanth, former Sri Lanka national captain. Of course, Muthu. Week 5, actually it's supposed to be only 4 weeks of matches being played. The week 4 will be carried on after week 7's conclusion.
Yeah, this weekend was really interesting because I had 3-4 screens up at home with my laptop as well, watching the internationals as well as the schools rugby. A lot of things to talk about, so let's get into it.
Absolutely, let's get into it.
Red Bull gives you wings. Get keys to your wheels and experience people-friendly vehicle leasing with Amana Bank. Enjoy the lowest monthly installment and flexible financing up to 7 years. Apply online at www.amanabank.lk or call 0117 756 756. Amana Bank. It's your bank.
Alright, so 8 games were concluded, Muthu. That was some fantastic week of rugby, some great clash, some upset which we predicted that didn't go our way and your way. And let's have a look. Wesley College started with Royal College at Havelock Park, 14 points to 27. We'll talk about that game, and then Isipathana Trinity. In fact, the first game Muthu predicted Royal to win. Yes, they did win. And Isipathana, myself predicted Isipathana to win. That was a close game, Muthu. And then St. Thomas's, your school, taking the better of the fancy DH Senanayaka College, 29-15. St. Peter's 25, St. Joseph's 10 on the Joe Pitt clash. And Zaira getting that first much needed win, much fancied with the other college. The more analysis coming from Royal Wesley Zaira game and Isipathana Trinity game. And then Kingswood College 31-17, a win after 4 years and 4 months apparently in the top division, Muthu. That is something to talk. And then Dharmaraja 24, a much worried performance by Anthonian Eagles, Muthu. We'll talk about that as well. And then Science College 41 points to 12 over Sri Sumangala College. So let's move on to the first game, Royal versus Wesley. First game, Royal versus Wesley. Wesley came with a clear plan, Muthu. They wanted to counter the opposite half with those high bomb kicks and put the Royal 15 under pressure. So the strategy was clear. And even in their half, and this is a beautiful tackle on Nabil Yamuthu. We have seen this and once you felt this tackle, Muthu, and the next incident, we'll have a look at Yahiya's high tackle, late, in fact, yeah, that tackle, Muthu. Let's go back, and here she goes. What do you think about this?
So this is a classic case of getting into the game and the player getting woken up by a huge hit in the start. So for me, of course, as a player, when this happens to me, if I get a hard hit in the beginning, I am always up for the game. That means I'm into the game now, and I'm looking to share the same sentiments with the opposition later on. Is it
like that?
Feeling feeling I think we see him later on going and giving a big huge hit to the Wesley guy there over there.
Yeah, I mean that power comes from even without having the Red Bull. And let's go into that game further in terms of our analysis that we picked out of this game. And here, as we go, another tackle. There we go, Muthu. This is a late tackle on the ruck. Ruck has been formed, and here is that lift, Muthu.
Yeah, I think this is a clearance case where they came on the side. You see, you saw this over the international games also, where Kalen Doris also got a yellow card for this. This is, you can't do this at this point, because now they discourage people from rolling and do the crocodile roll, because it can impact your knee or the neck areas as well, and players can get injured. So this was an interesting thing, and the referee didn't spot this, so that was a pretty interesting thing to see.
It was a pretty interesting, I mean, this is not to find fault about the player or Royal College or any other. I mean, these all coming for the education purpose, because we don't want to see these sort of things happening in the future games, in the future weeks. And not only by Royal, every school players tend to do this. This is another incident. This time it's a Wesley player, and that is another smackdown. And you can see assistant referee, but he is not quite helpful on that occasion in terms of making that judgment, Muthu.
The rule is pretty clear on this. It says the player can't go above the horizontal line, but here we see actually the legs up in the air on the attacking player. So I think that's a pretty straightforward thing where the referee can call a certain thing, but it was not called and he allowed the player to go on. But it's interesting to see that they are getting the players to go with the flow of the game.
So I did speak to Mr. Vimal Senanayaka, citing a commissioner, and he said there were few citing incidents and he has given them a warning. So these are the key analysis we picked up on that game. And further, in terms of Wesley's performance, Muthu, again we mentioned that their strategy is to kick into the opponent half, and certainly some of the kick really paid the way, Muthu.
Here I think it was basically the strategy was clear from Wesley, because they wanted to play in the opposing 22 or the 40, where they wanted to put pressure on the Royal forwards earlier, because they know that that's their key point. So they also had the dominant forward pack Wesley, so they also wanted to execute their mauls and set pieces in the right area. So early on I think you saw them kicking a lot. That worked for them in the initial first half of the game.
And when they come into the second half, I mean, despite all those kicks, Muthu, what I didn't see from Wesley College is one of these sort of a kick. This is what you need to pay that territorial advantage. That's an absolute peach by a Royal fullback, and with his educated left boot coming into play, Muthu. This was a sensational kick, and one more, yes. But after that, as a result, Muthu, Royal completely dominated that second half.
Yeah, I think that was the 50-20 rule there. They applied it to their advantage because they knew the Wesleyites were putting them on the back foot with their kick. So they wanted to get that territory advantage, and they made a flat kick right into the 22, which bounced and went off the 22, which means you get the ball back now. So that's a good tactic that they utilized to counter the kicking strategy for Wesley as well.
Yeah, I mean, the first try Royal scored from the blind side, it was like a super piece of work. No one expected a Royal player to run from that shorter side. So it's all about awareness. And we did speak to coach, I did speak to coach Dushanth Lewk after the game. And from our coach's corner, let's hear from coach Dushanth Lewk. Coach, this was a really tough game in the first half, but firstly tell me, what was the message in the second half? You all completely outfoxed Wesley from the blind.
Yeah, I think the message was that the key playmakers needed to start reading the game, and we needed to adapt, because Wesley was playing really well, and as expected, Royal Wesley games have always been very, very close. So the key playmakers needed to adapt to what was in front of them, and we needed to make those changes immediately.
On my show, coach, I predicted Wesley might put a surprise on this game. Like you said, Wesley Royal always close because they were playing so well in the first half. But at one point, they seems like they're a 60-minute or 65 minutes team, whereas your coach, your team looks well drilled and well disciplined.
Yeah, we are trying to put an emphasis on doing the basics right and trying to keep the penalty count down. But unfortunately, today I think the penalty count went a bit against us, a bit too much. So that's something that we need to go back to the drawing board and have a look. But overall, happy to get over such a tough team, and just want to wish Wesley also all the best for the future games.
Brilliant, coach. We wish you all the best for the future games as well.
Thank you very much, Harry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach Lewk. Thank you for your time, and we wish you all the best for the upcoming games. And let's have a look at the Amana Bank try scorers for this game, Muthu. 3 tries from Royal, Yuan Nisalita, and then Tinet Gamage scoring the first try, and then Fahad Nazar, who made some good yards to score another try. And on Wesley's perspective, Hashan Emmanuel scored that try. Apologies, we don't have the picture as yet, but Hashan, yes, you scored that try, excellent. And coming back to the next game of the week, Isipatana versus Trinity, Muthu. We expected a close game. Certainly the weather didn't help both all the teams Saturday and Sunday. First thought?
Yeah, as expected, like what we discussed last week as well, it was a very critical game for Trinity and they were really up for it against the hometown hosts Isipatana. So it was a very close game as expected. Right till the end, it was a ding-dong battle where they were like back and forth between both teams. In the end, Isipatana came out on top, and that was an interesting game to see because Trinity would have pulled off that victory, and I would have my prediction would have come right.
And a lot of controversy once again in terms of officiating. So yeah, there's argument that Isipatana scored the try, it's not a try, and you have the drone cam footage, you have more other angles. One thing we need to understand that although the game is live, it is not only on one camera. Most of them have the smartphone, so it is multiple cameras coming on, so we have to bear that in mind, Muthu. Yeah. And of course, referees have to work pull up their socks and work out in terms of making those decisions. Some of the game we witnessed in the Royal game, some judgment, maybe assistant referees also have to be communicated properly. So I'm sure President of the Referee Society, Mr. Dinka Piris, will have lots of work to do in terms of getting his team again. And some controversy of Trinity scoring that first try just about the half time. I saw my good friend shared a clip on social media. Referee playing advantage, and the kick comes, box kick comes from the Isipatana scrum half. Advantage is not over. If it's a knock-on advantage, Muthu, advantage is over, but it's not a knock-on advantage.
Right. Correct. It was a very 50-50 margin call in that try that they awarded last. But at the end of the day, like what you said, there are a lot of eyes around the game now, and people are also recording their own teams to gain a competitive advantage over certain decisions. So it is important that the referees stay on track and make the right decisions most of the time, because we don't expect them to be perfect. But at least if they, like at least 90-95% of the time, if they are on the right angles and right places, I think it will be helpful for them to make decisions like you mentioned.
Absolutely, the score will not change. That's part and parcel of the game, this beautiful sport that we all love. Let's have a look at some key analysis in that game. Now, what is so fascinating about Isipatana is their skills and their passing skill. This comes from their DNA, Muthu. Look at this, how beautiful is that? And they know exactly when to pass, how to draw and pass. That is simple. You are committing to tackle, and at the last minute you are passing it. And Zumri, oh my words, that is so good. This man is sensational too. And again, this was another lovely cutout pass, and number 13, a lovely fend, quite unfortunate given that ground condition, Muthu, and he finds touch. That's one incident. And here Trinity on the other hand, they too have improved. Beautiful hands again. And luckily that was intercepted. In case if it was a knock-on, perhaps there's always getting opportunity. Perhaps it could have even be a penalty try, but it's still inside the 22. Could be touch and go. That's about Trinity. Again, Isipatana, another long pass, good hands coming in, lovely decoy work, and getting the skipper into attack. And they are going right, left, right. Few decoy moves and lovely hands. And this, Muthu, perhaps this should have finished. This ball carrier should have gone to his right and dive. With that weather, muddy condition, you can easily go to 10 meters, Muthu.
Correct. I think you have to give some credit to the coaches as well, to allowing the players to play this style of game in this sort of weather condition as well. And good on the boys for backing themselves, because they are also confident in executing those passes. And you can see the communication is coming out from out wide. So the player who's carrying the ball always has the confidence to just give it out wide, because he knows his support players are on the wider channels, who is always communicating the wider and the shorter angles. So I think that is a key thing that we have to highlight. And Zumri, like we said, he likes to execute skills and take on the line a bit more. I think that this is a clear example of what Isipatana is great at in terms of distribution.
Yes, and as they move forward, it was a 13-3 at one point, Muthu. It was a panic first half for Isipatana.
At this point, actually, I felt really good with my prediction for Trinity.
Yeah, halftime prediction, yeah. And this incident, again, scrum of Pereira marshalling his forwards, and this is that controversial try or no try. So let fan decide that. You want to say something, Muthu?
Yeah, I think these guys over here will have a better view of the overall picture than us. So I think it's kind of unfortunate that we don't have the overall TMOs and stuff as well. But then again, the AR can be in a better position to assess the try here. So that's we'll leave it at that, I guess.
Yeah, and furthermore, and this guy, you cannot keep out this guy. We were talking about Kavin, the tight head prop. He's so mobile, and I like to see him wearing the national number 3 shirt. And this time, on that occasion, Muthu, referee was right on the money, right on the spot, and he certainly see a grounding. So that's a better positioning.
Correct. As you said, he is in the correct position to assess whether it's a try or not, and he has clear evidence of the grounding of the ball. So here he stuck to the rule and awarded the try because there is no hesitation, because the rule is very clear. If there's clear evidence of grounding of a ball, you allow the try. And as you mentioned, the prop forward here, I think he's kind of a similar model to Asaf Amua, who's playing for All Blacks, who is a very mobile forward and who has the skills to execute out wide well as well. So it's interesting to see how he develops into the next facet of his game.
All right, let's have a look at the Amana Bank try scorers in this Isipatana versus Trinity. 2 tries for Isipatana, Nimantha Sandeepa, and that's a controversial try, they say. And then Kavin Tarusha, the tight head prop. And for Trinity Lions, Usman Faraz scored that try in the first half.
Care for another helping, darling?
Yes, my love.
Garçon?
Red Bull gives you wings. Get keys to your wheels and experience people-friendly vehicle leasing with Amana Bank. Enjoy the lowest monthly installment and flexible financing up to 7 years. Apply online at www.amanabank.lk or call 0117 756 756. Amana Bank. It's your bank.
Welcome back. So we looked at 2 games, and moving on to St. Thomas's versus the Dons, DS Senanayake College. It was should have been a very close game, but St. Thomas's completely dominated that game.
Yeah, this was previewed last week as well, where I said whoever gets the start first would have gone on to the win. So it was a clear fact that St. Thomas's came out gunning because they knew it was a very important game for them, as you know that they are now number 2 on the table as of now. So that was a very crucial game for them. So like as we predicted, they came out firing all guns, and they executed the game and kept the lead till the end.
Yeah, Muthu, it was a pretty much stop-start, obviously, given the weather condition, underfoot condition. So it's all inevitable in that occasion, Muthu. But excuse me, but certainly St. Thomas's forwards dominated, and their backs also coming into the game. The fly half, he really marshaled the team and has come off putting some lovely territorial box kicks as well. So that was interesting.
Yeah, the forward pack dominated right from the get-go, and the conditions also played a part, and it was favourable for the Thomians to execute on home grounds as well. So that was a good game for them.
But the coach Anuranga Walpola, he is a former hooker himself. He need to perhaps look at his hooker, because this incident, look at this screen, he dummies couple of times. As a result, he gives away 2 free kicks rather. So this is something Coach Walpola has to go and do from the whiteboard or whatever it is, Muthu.
Yeah, I think there was a miscommunication between the jumper and the throw. I think it's called the trigger now. So whoever initiates the first trigger has to throw it on that time, and the jumper has to go and collect the ball in the air as well. So there was a slight miscommunication there, but I think they will line it out. Over the games, they have improved with the line-out. So I think going forward, they will address that as well.
On our previous segment, we mentioned how well Umagiliage, DS captain, make those territorial kicks, but unfortunately it was not the day in terms of his kicking when it comes to, because he made a couple of error of judgment in terms of kicking out on the full several times. Condition is a factor, Muthu, but also consistency is a factor.
Yes, as you mentioned, the conditions played a huge part in the outcome of the game, because the wind factor plays a huge role in that ground, because I know I played there, because when the rain starts coming, the sea breeze affects your kicks. So it's very hard to judge where you want to put your kicks. It might go out on the full, it might end up short. So you, as a kicker, it's a horrible time to play when it's raining at Mount Rainier.
And certainly, but this loss perhaps will put again to the drawing board for Coach Asela's team, because they were some great performance. They are eyeing to go to that second spot, or maybe even to the first place to play the Super Round.
Yes, so this week will be crucial. I think they are going up against Isipatana this week, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And also, I think Thomians will have an easy outing against Sumangala. So I think that will be a factor in terms of the overall outcome of the top two.
Unless we see a giant killing performance by the Dons, be the Dons. We'll see in that game. And now let's have a look at the Amana Bank try scorers in that St. Thomas's versus DSA Nanai College. Alright, let's move on to the next game, the Battle of the Saints, St. Peter's versus St. Joseph's. St. Joseph really did dominate for the first 10-15 minutes, Muthu, and then after all it's all St. Peter's.
I think it's very interesting to see that the Peterite boys were given the license to go out and attack with their back. So you saw their fullback counter-attacking from the right from the get-go. They didn't treat it as such of a bottleneck game. They had a free-flowing hand in terms of attack, and they executed under pressure. So that's what resulted in the final outcome of the game.
What do you think St. Joseph needs to be in terms of finishing maybe 4th or 3rd place?
I think in terms of St. Joseph, they have a good pack and they have a balance between the line and the pack as well. But they just really need to find what is their strong points and how they want to play. So I think they are still trying to figure out that aspect, because at certain points in the game they look very dominant when they play with their forwards and they are running up front. But then again they move away from that and try to do a bit of an expensive game, but then they end up falling short. So I think the coaches need to go back and really identify what are their key strengths and weaknesses and play according to that. I think that will take them a long way from there.
And St. Peter's 4 tries again in this game, Muthu. That is like bonus points in every game. I don't know how much they care about these bonus points. Win is the main thing any team would do, but they are winning with bonus point and they are in a different level. We have been talking about this since our episode, the first episode.
Yeah, so like I said, they are in a try scoring mindset. So they want to attack and get points on the board, and they have multiple ways that they can do it. Their forwards are good, then their backs are also combining very well with the forwards. You saw in the Wesley game where they took quick taps and they started running all over the place. So they always come with the mindset of scoring 4 tries, I feel, and they want to execute that under pressure. So they are grilled, and I know that Sanam Martis and Raju Pereira will be always sending that message across to them.
Interesting as we progress into the next week. So we'll wait and see how it goes, and let's have a look at the Amana Bank try scorers of this Job Week clash. There we go, Shenka Pereira with a try, and the skipper Dulaj with a try, and Vishenka Silva, the speedster and the top point scorer if I'm not mistaken, and he scored a couple of tries under his belt. And for St. Joseph's, it was Midulka Pereira who scored that try early on in the first half. So congratulations for St. Peter's, and we'll see how this team perform in the week 6 of Dialogue Schools Rugby League. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back.
Red Bull gives you wings. Get keys to your wheels and experience people-friendly vehicle leasing with Amana Bank. Enjoy the lowest monthly installment and flexible financing up to 7 years. Apply online at www.amanabank.lk or call 0117 756 756. Amana Bank. It's your bank.
Welcome back. So the other game we are going to look at Kingswood winning after 4 years and 4 months. Founders of rugby in Sri Lanka, 31 points to 17. Although the win comes from a newcomer's Thurston, but this is some morale booster, Muthu.
Yeah, it's actually good to see Kingswood back in their winning ways. quite unfortunate for the slow start that they had for the season. You get a lot of past players coming and representing Sri Lanka from Kingswood, by the likes of Vasil Marija, Roshan Weeraratne. The list is like never ending. So it's good to see them back on winning ways. I think going forward, the young team will have a good, confident win here to carry that same momentum next week.
Perhaps this team could be a young team, like you said, Muthu. Maybe they have quite a lot years remaining to play. But talking about Thurston, they too come into the points and scoring some tries.
Yeah, I think Thurston has been improving continuously right throughout the season. I think they are first time in playing in the edition, if I'm not mistaken.
After a while.
After a while. So I think it's good to see them coming back, and hopefully they can improve on their performances that they have had.
So teams like Thurston College, Sri Sumangala College, Kandy, they're all in the bottom, although they can still remain in the A division, top tier next year. So in terms of demotion, how it works is, Muthu, the last two rank 15 and 16 at the end of the league, at the end of the week 7, they will have to play a relegation battle from the other segment. So they still have possibility for them to play in the A division next season.
Yeah, so I think that is the most important thing for them, to stay in the A division next year as well. So that will even give them more opportunity to improve as a school playing rugby in the A division. So it's beneficial for them in these games to get some confidence, execute their game plans. Even if they end up last in the table, like you said, they will have to go back and play the winner from the B division. So, but that will help them to keep their position and keep their ground on the A division side.
Absolutely. It's not easy from B to coming and, you know, be continuous performance and be sustainable. It's always a difficult task, but it's all learning. I mean, we just mentioned these two teams as per the points table in the current stand, where they are 15th and 16th position, Muthu. So let's have a look at the Amana Bank try scorers for this game. Yeah, here are the try scorers: Sadiv Satsara, Tarusha Bandara, Akila Dilshan, and Rivin Baudaween, the fullback, also in the try. And for Thurston, Vinuka Hejita scored the try. So those are the Amana Bank try scorers for the game between Kingswood versus Thurston. Science versus Sri Sumangala College. Again, Science, after all those criticism and controversies, they have bounced back with a thumping win.
Yeah, it's good to see that the controversy is out of the window now and they are back to playing rugby. So it's good to see them come off with a win, although it's not a formidable opposition. But then I guess it's a good win for them that they can take on.
The man on your screens is Science fullback Dilron Pereira. He's such a find to witness. He scored some tries, but he's such a lovely executor playing at that last man of defense.
Yeah, I think we see this boy growing in confidence over the last few games. I think we talked about him executing under pressure.
So let's have a look at Amana Bank try scorers in this game. So many tries coming from Science, and here they are: Metuka, Mohammad Shahir, Anuradha Lakshan, Minula Rehan, and Kavishka Randula scoring those tries. So the next game we have is St. Anthony's Dharmaraja, and it's an interesting battle in the upcountry, Muthu, but Dharmaraja winning that convincingly, but disappointing performance by Antonian Eagles.
We saw some inconsistent performance from St. Anthony's. Hopefully they can iron it out in the next few weeks. But Dharmaraja, I think, was a crucial win for them as well. Their forward pack, which was a balanced side, mixed with their backs, I think they overall came into the frame and took out the win over the weekend.
Yeah, the captain marshalled this game. He was like a fearsome player and something to watch out for. And also, they had so much momentum in that first half to score. More opportunities were lost due to the condition once again. But St. Anthony's, on the other hand, they feel like, I don't know whether it's right to say, like Pakistan cricket team, which is unpredictable, Muthu.
Yeah, so they had a good team. They have a good team. So I think it's just a matter of being consistent in terms of execution overall.
And talking about, should give kudos to Dharmaraja winning that game, and their forwards, it was completely dominated by the forwards. And also, on the other hand, Muthu, St. Anthony's have a couple of injuries and some head injury, concussion, rested players as well. We remember in the previous game that they played 2 weeks ago, few of the HIA and the head injury, concussion were there.
Right, so then that must have been a part of why they have not been performing so well, because they can't get the players on the field due to injuries and concussions as well. So I think once these guys come back out of injuries, they might be more consistent in terms of their performances.
Perhaps I will wait and see. Let's have a look at the Amana Bank try scorers in that game. Skipper scored a try, Nimsha Piris, and then Kavintha Jayaman, the prop forward, and Varuna Vijay Singh. Like we said, it's a forward battle. It's completely dominated by forwards, Muthu.
Yes, I think that's why I said so. I think their forwards are laying the platforms for them to execute. That weather conditions are also suited for these guys to go and battle it out against some malls and stuff. So that was good to see.
Care for another helping, darling?
Yes, my love.
Garçon.
Red Bull gives you wings. Get keys to your wheels and experience people-friendly vehicle leasing with Amana Bank. Enjoy the lowest monthly installment and flexible financing up to 7 years. Apply online at www.amanabank.lk or call 0117 756 756. Amana Bank. It's your bank.
So another game on that week 5 of Dialogue Schools Rugby League. Zahira versus Vidyartha College. Pretty much like Leicester Tigers with the global partnership. Leicester Tigers versus Vidyartha Tigers, we may call as it is. But this was really an electric game, Muthu. I was on the comm box and it was so good to see that Vidyartha and both teams are running rugby despite the condition. But some error of judgment perhaps in the first half for Vidyartha College. Let's have a look at those on analysis. But your initial thought of this game?
Like you said, both teams came out with their strong points, which was running rugby. They wanted to attack from the get-go. But unfortunately, the conditions didn't suit the style of rugby played on that day. But there's a saying, better to go with what you know than going with the unknown. So I think that was what the coach's plan was. And the team that made the least mistakes on the day took out the win.
And now let's have a look at the analysis we picked up in this game. So Zaira scored their first penalty, and then Vidyartha conquering the opposite half, opposite 22, Muthu. They got 3 penalty options. Instead of going for the post, they opted to go for the touch, maybe try something. But given the wet condition, you are not 100% sure whether you will win the line out, A. And B, it's always tough to maintain that line out and the drive again with the conditions. You never know when you're falling off feet on that living drive. This is another opportunity again in the 11th minute. First one is on the 8th minute, and that's another opportunity. Here another penalty on the 13th minute as a result. Pick and go is not a bad option again, but it's very hard to build that accuracy to turn them into points, Muthu.
I think, like I said before, I think they came out with a clear plan to just run with the ball here, regardless of the conditions, because I feel that Vidyartha is backing their attacking more than their lineouts and set pieces. So that's why I feel they went into that kind of a set piece strategy. Sorry, not going for the set piece and going for the attacking strategy. So I think that is the main decider for that decision.
There's a couple of unforced errors in the opposite half from their scrum half, and then Balasuriya in the center and their fly half, because it's very hard to get that or catch that wet muddy ball, Muthu. On the other hand, so 3 penalties. If you look at the Springboks versus Ireland game, Muthu, Andre Pollard scored 8 penalties. That 24 points came from Andre Pollard with 8 penalties. So penalties do win you matches. Perhaps this is not a criticism at all. Perhaps Coach Malavan, our good friend, will agree on this. But after this incident, Muthu, Vidyartha scored that try in the far corner, and then they went for the lead for the first time in this game. Then I said at one point in the commentary as well, no, maybe they want to attack. This is the result they were expecting. But sometimes you need to be smart enough. It's always easy for us to look back in the replays and analyze. But at that point, perhaps it was not the right decision.
Yeah, so I think it's because I think they wanted to attack with the ball from the start of the game. So I think without taking the early points, they wanted to attack, but they came off with a try, like you said, the latter part of the game. But I think the Springbok Island game was a very good example, because the 3 points finally they took the 3 points, but as you mentioned, Ireland overcame in that later stage. So here I think it was a 50-50 call. Even if they went for the 3 points, I think the final outcome, it was a 3-point difference, 13-10. So I think that was an important thing to see.
Absolutely. Given the nature of the weather, nature of the pitch, it's not easy to score tries. On the other hand, a Zaira penalty, literally the players were clear. They want points. You can see how many numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When the penalty is awarded, all 5 players pointing the post, not only the skipper. So they want the points, they want the win more than anything after losing 3 games on the trot, Muthu.
I feel that this was also a strategy based on the overall table. I feel that Vidyarth came into the game with the objective of scoring tries. Maybe something on the table showed them that they needed to score more tries than the other teams or something, maybe for the position. Maybe that was a factor that played in terms of that strategy. So I feel there was something there overall that we don't know, but we'll have to go and see.
Yeah, we have to go and see. But still, this Open, it's looking at this group of Royal and St. Peter's pretty much in the upfront runners, Muthu. And let's have a look at the Amana Bank try scorers for this game. Pamatita Narayan scoring the try for Vidyarth, and then Basit Feroz, the halfback, scoring the try for Zaira College. Those are the Amana Bank try scorers in that game. Welcome back. So all set for week 6 of Dialogue Schools Rugby League. 8 games being scheduled, Muthu. Which game you fancy most?
Isipatana DS will be an interesting game coming up this week, because that's crucial for DS to have their position formatted on the table as well, because it's 1 and 3. So that will be an interesting game to look out for.
Yeah, Isipatana versus
DS
Senanaka, the Dons. Yes, indeed, it's going to be interesting. And on the other hand, St. Peter's versus Zaira at Bambalapitiya, St. Peter's ground. St. Thomas's versus Sri Sumangala. That should be an easy win for St. Thomas's. And then Trinity College St. Anthony's at Pallekele. And St. Joseph's Royal at Havelock Park, Muthu. That would be another forward game. We'll see whether Nilfa Ibrahim's Josephians can do something out of that game. But do you think?
High possibility that can happen, because it's going to be a forward game, and also depending on the weather condition, it might be an unpredictable match.
I can predict, Muthu. Unlikely, Muthu, perhaps, maybe. But we'll wait and see. This is and also Vidyarth versus Thurston. That's going to be Vidyarth might want that win after the bitter loss last week. And then Dharma Raja versus Science. That will be another interesting game up in the hills.
Correct. So Science will have to travel up country to beat Dharma Raja. That will be a tough assignment for Science College to come out of.
And the final game, Wesley versus Kingswood, playing for the Blase Trophy. That will be played at Wesley Grounds in Colombo. There we go. That's the wrap of Dialogue Schools Rugby Review Week 5, and we'll see you with more analysis, more news at the end of Week 6 Dialogue Schools Rugby League. Until then, Muthu, see you next week.
See you next week.
Inside his own 22, as he puts on some footwork. Beats one, gets the pass away out, and here is the number 11. Speeding away, beating a couple of men, down the wing he goes, beats the third man, and that's Vishenka Silva. He goes over for a lovely Amana Bank try, and he rounds it off under the post for St. Peter.
Red Bull gives you wings. Get keys to your wheels and experience people-friendly vehicle leasing with Amana Bank. Enjoy the lowest monthly installment and flexible financing up to 7 years. Apply online at www.amanabank.lk or call 0117 756 756. Amana Bank. It's your bank.